When last night's game went into a second overtime, Valley fans all over started thinking about Harlingen's last overtime game. Of course, that was against San Antonio Stevens in the 2010 postseason third round. Turns out that was going through the Cardinals' minds as well. Brendan Fitzgerald was at Hero Stadium in San Antonio last night.
All week long, Harlingen head coach Manny Gomez said this game against Abilene here in San Antonio was just another game, that they weren't up here to prove a point. Well, like it or not, Gomez and the Cardinals did it anyways by getting a double overtime 45-44 win against Abilene. Manny Gomez said on the sidelines it felt like the San Antonio Stevens double overtime loss from last season. He was afraid they were reliving the same thing when they gave away a 2-touchdown lead in the final minutes of the fourth quarter. But this season, he has more seniors, he has more experience, and the kids kept fighting. They never quit, and they pulled it out in the end.
I talked to the kids about dreaming big, and as you play the game, as you go to sleep at night during the week, dream big. And all these kids were talking about their dreams that they were having. And so, guys, this is it. Now let's go chase those dreams down. And I'm just so proud of these kids, man. You know, it's they almost make me emotional because these kids are like my own and stuff. I'm just extremely proud of what they've done. You saw a lot of kids gassed, but they're like, Coach, we ain't gonna quit. We ain't gonna quit. I'm not asking you guys, are you guys gonna quit or not? But just to look on their face, they were determined to come out here and finish.
Last year had a lot to do with it. We didn't want to have that feeling again, losing to Stevens last year, and double overtime made us fight even harder and harder. Each time came back and they didn't score or something, we're back on it, trying to win that heavyweight fight.
It's just so fun to play in a game like this. We haven't played in the fourth quarter a lot. I mean, a lot of guys are cramping up, but it gets us ready for playoffs.
I've never felt this way before. I mean, this team's making history right now, and just the emotions, like, man, I'm glad to be a part of this team right here.
Another thing to take note of was that the Harlingen fans came out to support their Cardinals tonight. The whole side of the home stands at Hero Stadium was filled with black and red. Manny Gomez saying it was a great night for the Harlingen community, great night for his football program, but a great night for the Valley. They showcased what football is all about down in South Texas. In San Antonio, Brendan Fitzgerald, Action 4 Sports.
Thanks so much, Brendan. All right, first question on the board is for Abilene and the coaches. Do you take a point off the board? You could have gone to third overtime. They had already made the extra point. Personal foul on Harlingen. They took back and decided to go for two instead and go for the win. Jake, your thoughts?
I don't know if you take the point off the board because you're going to go into the third overtime. You're going to have to go for two there anyways. So just take the field goal and go into your next overtime. They were very close, though.
They were. Greg?
Well, the way they were running the ball, they had just broken that. They ran a nice bootleg. They had run that biggest hole in the history of high school football to tie it up. You get to be a yard and a half away. If you can't make a yard and a half, then you don't need to be playing. But I do agree that the conventional wisdom is don't take points off the board.
Overall, your thoughts on the game, Jake?
Well, I got to say, a couple years ago, I remember a lot of people were saying that Coach Gomez couldn't make adjustments. And I watched him at halftime. I watched him. I was going up to the press box, and I saw him bring all of his coaches together. He had the whiteboard in front of him, and he was drawing out stuff, his adjustments for the second half. And if you look what he did, he held them he basically scored 16 points to their 0 in the second half until the fourth quarter with like 5 minutes left. I mean, he did a really good job making the adjustments, and he made adjustments in the overtimes as well to pull off the victory. I mean, it was a great game on both sides of the ball.
Who else made adjustments? The baby-faced assassin, Kevin Ledesma, throws 2 picks in the first quarter, but then comes back and has a terrific game, Greg.
Yeah, he's something else. I'll tell you what, it was fun to watch. I didn't get to go, but I watched it on the website. And it's funny, okay, so by the way, remember our old Happy Days episode when Fonzie would always say, now I have to admit I was Hey man, I've never been so happy to be wrong in my life. I'll tell you this, Harlingen came back not once but twice, right? They were down 14, then they lost that 14-point lead. They never cratered, man. I never got the feeling when watching them that they were nervous or that they were intimidated. They just played good football. You know who they reminded me of watching that game? Them old Odessa Permian teams. Little, fast, mean, and precise, man. I mean, they were carving them up. They had a great football game, absolutely fantastic for the Valley.
Yeah, and it shows something to the people who said, oh, well, Harlingen's going to lose because they're a Valley team.
Yeah.
That doesn't work anymore, people. It's just 2 good football teams. They were evenly matched. They went to second overtime. What does this mean for the future, Jake? Do we have more teams from up north who are going to try and schedule more teams from the Valley for pre-district to try and get something going during the preseason?
Well, Matt Steps from Rivals.com was at the game, and we were talking after the game, and he said this was a perception-changing game. because a lot of people around the state, you know, they look at the Valley, like San Antonio teams, they had the Valley week, you know, in the playoffs. I think this is one of those things where it's going to be an eye-opener for a lot of teams that they can't overlook the Valley as much anymore.
It may well be that a lot of places in the state haven't really even heard of us. So the first time we get on the map with them, they're like, hey, that team beat Abilene. Who is Harlingen? Is that between Dallas and Fort Worth? No, that's Harlingen. We're talking about Harlingen, right? I'll tell you what, interesting. I think the only thing that worries me is that they still can't make an extra point.
Yeah.
They should have put that game away 40-38.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not complaining.
And they should have beaten San Antonio Stevens
Yeah,
as well to make it to the
still.
fourth round. But hey, a big win for Harlingen, huge win last night. We'll see what this bodes for the future. We're coming right back on Sunday Sports Extra.